Something in astrology that people rarely bring up is how beneficial challenging aspects can actually be. That is one of the most overlooked things in astrology, traditional astrology, that is. But in this space where we discuss non traditional astrology factors, we will be discussing today the beautiful, beautiful, benefic features of the malefic aspects in a natal chart. So if you're ready for this, then get ready because here we go. Let's explore the hidden protective power of the formidable alignment of Mars in square or opposition to Algol. Now, in this unique situation, we have Mars, the principle of focus, power, assertion, will, and survival. It is the energy that we use to protect our boundaries, to act, to desire, and to say, I am. It is the warrior. Algol, the demon star, located in the head of Medusa. Algol is not merely a bad star. It represents the Gorgon gaze, the power to petrify, to reveal a truth so shocking it freezes the observer. Its core themes are the power of the severed head in myth. Perseus used Medusa's head to defeat his enemies. This is key. Algol's energy is a tool that, when wielded consciously, can neutralize threats. It represents the capacity to cut off what no longer is serving survival, no matter how monstrous or deeply rooted. Unmasking taboo. It reveals hidden and repressed, the monstrous, and the powerful truths of society or the ego cannot bear to directly look at. So it essentially brings up the hidden truths beneath people's surfaces that they can't even stand within themselves. And oftentimes this comes through the primordial feminine rage that is not necessarily assertive anger of Mars, but it is this feral, transformative rage of the violated feminine, the fury that arises when core life force and sovereignty are threatened. So when we add these two together, we have a very powerful dynamic. When Mars, your will to act, makes a hard aspect, square or opposition to Algol, these two powerful forces are locked in intense dynamic dialogue. The universe is forcing an integration. And now let's discuss the hidden power. The hidden protective power is not a gentle shield. It is a spiritual and psychological immune system of immense potency. It operates on the principle of controlled disintegration. The power of instinctual threat detection. So I want you to understand this power that you are given is literally able to perceive a threat like a pre-natural radar. It's a predatory, manipulative, toxic energy alert system. It doesn't just know when something's off or when someone's off, but it actually works on a visceral system gut level reaction. And it's all alarmed by the hidden. So they don't just think someone is dangerous. Their entire nervous system knows it. It's a visceral gut level reaction, Mars, to a hidden petrifying truth, Algol, that others cannot usually see or they can't yet see. They can sense the Medusa in the other person or another person or a situation, the hidden monster that would turn them or the situation to stone if given a chance. But now the protection, now this is what the whole hidden gem reveals. The protection allows them to avoid dangerous situations, relationships, and people long before the threat becomes to manifest. They are often labeled as paranoid or too intense by those who lack the sensitivity, but in fact, they are simply perceiving a deeper, more instinctual level of understanding of something maybe they can't even quite yet understand. And now the power of this nuclear option boundary is that that, this aspect actually grants the individual an ultimate internal red button for self-preservation. How it works is when their core sovereignty, safety, or safety of a loved one is fundamentally threatened, they will actually access a level of fierce, uncompromising power that completely sever a toxic connection or shut down an attack. This is the living embodiment of Perseus using Medusa's head. It is the ability to say no with such affinity and ferocity that the threat is effectively turned to stone, neutralized, frozen, and rendered powerless. The protection. It's not just about everyday arguments or anything on a small scale. This is a fail safe for survival level scenario type use. It ensures that the individual is never truly a victim. They always remain a core feral. At core, they're always going to be feral in their power that can be unleashed when all options have exhausted. And the thing is, mostly when you have this energy, it's not something you want to use. It's literally the option when there is no option. So now how this works is the individual is compelled to face their own repressed rage, their own monstrous desires, their own capacity for darkness. This is an intensely difficult but profoundly empowering process. By staring directly at their own inner algol and not turning to stone, not being destroyed by shame or fear, they integrate the power because that's what Mars does. And now the power of the truth telling as a weapon. This is the aspect that can manifest as a voice that speaks unbearable truths. It can be the person who can empty a room just with the remarks of a truth that needed to be said that the people can't quite yet take. And that is how the head is then Medusaized, we could say. That is how the algal takes its course. Their words, the Mars that they have, can depict or can decapitate lies, illusions, and corrupt power structures. They have the ability to articulate the unspoken, toxic secrets in a room, a family, or society, therefore robbing it of its power. The protection. By giving a voice to the hidden poison, they detoxify the environment. They literally take away the toxicity by disinfecting it with the words that they can speak of the bare truths that they hold within them, that they are able to see that so many are trying to hide or remain unspoken. This not only protects themselves, but everyone in the system by bringing the shadow into light where it can be dealt with. Now, something about having this placement is how it can so easily be misunderstood and actually be deemed to be a curse. Because the classical interpretations of uncontrollable rage, self-destructive tendency, attracting violence are what happen when the power is projected, repressed, or feared. Now, when it's projected, the individual is terrified of their own inner Medusa and sees themselves as a monster or sees monsters everywhere and attacks preemptively, creating the very violence that they fear. Or you can have it as a repressed energy, unexpressed, unintegrated rage, and power turned inward, leading to self-sabotage, explosive outbursts, or psychosomatic illnesses. The immune system attacks itself, essentially. Or feared, if you just simply fear your own self of this energy, the individual can feel cursed by their own intensity and try to numb or disown it, making them a magnet for others who will act this power dynamically, attracting violent partners or attracting people with the energy of the resonance of your own, but in a way that's used against you, in other words. So now we want to consciously work with this aspect. So how we can do this is by honoring our instincts. Do not second guess your second or your gut feelings about people or situations. This is your primary protective system. And because of that, we have to really, really be mindful of it because it's a protection system in operation. And then next, we want to find sacred outlets, channel this immense energy and this power into physical disciplines like martial arts, weightlifting, deep shadow work, therapy, journaling, or even artistic expressions that explore dark mythic themes. Another thing is to set boundaries with conscious ferocity. Understand that no has an immense power. Use it wisely and sparingly. Be without apology when and only when it's truly needed. And lastly, study the myth, meditate on the story, Perseus and Medusa. They're not victims. We are not victims. You are not victims. I'm not a victim. I actually have this placement too myself. I won't say which way, but I do have it. But we're not victims as Medusa or Perseus. We are a conscious wielder of the Gorgon's power. Our challenge is not to destroy the monster, but to harness its power to achieve our heroic aims. So, pretty much, guys, in conclusion, Mars Algol aspect is a powerful dynamic. It is not a mark of a cursed life, but instead it is a chart indicating a soul has chosen to incarnate it with a loaded weapon in its psyche. The purpose of this life is not to dispose of it, but to learn to learn and wield its terrifying, protective, and truth revealing power with impeccable consciousness and responsibility. It is the ultimate alchemy of shadow into sovereign strength. And now, if you have this in your chart, I want you to let me know in the comments. And if you stayed here for the video, the whole video, leave a deep red heart in the comments. I thank you for listening. And if you want more content like this, stay tuned because it's coming.